Hello everyone, no I'm not Kuyo or HB, however I am TheBigE15 or Big E, and contrary to what you might hear from the video on my channel, I did not get kidnapped by Kuyo. In fact, Kuyo is really, well, my host technically. I'm one of his 95 billion personalities. In fact, we all are, including Imperial Knowledge, Kukai, and many others. You just don't know it yet, but now you do. But we decided a long time ago that we were going to do a collaboration, and scheduling conflicts and just other projects came involved, and it never really came to be until now. We were finally able to sit down and get everything going, and we both have a love for the races of Akavir, so that is the topic of today's discussion, or lore discussion we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about three in particular: the Kamal, the Akaviri humans, and the Tsaesci. Now, if you want to check out the other three races, or if you can technically call one of them a race, the Kapotun, the Tangmo, and the Dragons of Akavir will all be covered and featured on my channel that is narrated by Kuyo and edited in my own style. Well, this video is going to be narrated by me and edited in his style. Now, you might think that there's not a lot of information on the Kamal. However, if you really dig down deep, there is a lot more that actually meets the eye. Now, when you think of the snow demons, and that is what their name is, who they are, the snow demons of Akavir, you think of, so I think at least, of something big, like a frost giant or something similar, and the word, the Kamal, means specifically snow hell. However, if you really narrow things down, there might be some evidence pointing to contrary, that they're actually about the size of a normal humanoid or elf. Now, a little bit on their history first. The snow demons spend the winter frozen solid, but when summer comes they thaw out and attack another race called the Tangmo, and they're always unsuccessful. However, in 572 of the Second Era, the Kamal invaded Tamriel under the king Adasumdir Kamal, reportedly searching for a person or an object called the Ordained Receptacle. Now, the Kamal fleet bypassed Morrowind entirely and landed near Windhelm in eastern Skyrim, catching the Nords off guard, and even sacked the city. Oddly, the Kamal army then headed south, but ignored Riften, marching into the Stonefalls region of Morrowind. There, on the beach just west of Ebonheart, that would later be named Vivek's Antlers, they were surrounded by the Dunmer army led by Almalexia, and a Nord army led by Prince Jarun. The Kamal fought fiercely and ferociously, hoping to last long enough for their fleet to arrive and evacuate them. But at the last moment, a phalanx of Argonians joined the fray, and with their aid, and the aid of Vivek, who summoned a tidal wave, the Kamal forces were obliterated by the three unlikely allies. This was not the last Tamriel would see of the Kamal, however. Sometime before 812 of the Second Era, remnants of the Kamal invasion force, who had somehow survived the slaughter at Vivek's Antlers, resurfaced in Cyrodiil, seizing the Ruby Throne from the successors of the warlord Atreus. The Kamal would soon be joined by the Akaviri of Remen, who had previously fled to elsewhere to avoid Atreus' persecution, and the Kamal and Remen Akaviri attempted to rebuild the empire, but this effort was doomed from the start. Now, in terms of what the Kamal looked like, it seems they actually shared at least some physical characteristics or attributes of that of the Tsaesci, because there is a lot of similarities between armor from the Kamal and the Tsaesci. They share properties from Tsaesci armor, so it makes me think that they're relatively alike. Furthermore, there is a letter you can find that is called Against the Snakes that refers to the Kamal as snakes, and whether this is because they look like the Tsaesci or look like snakes is not yet known. However, with this along with their armor properties and their weapon properties, it seems the snow demons are more related to the Tsaesci, at least in terms of physical appearance. Now, further from their armor, we find out that they do have a complex military structure. There is a helm that can be found that references a hoplite or a mere soldier, but furthermore there is also a Lord Marshal's baton, which it references a Lord Marshal. This is a impressive title in a military structure and is a sign of leadership, meaning that there is some form of complexity to their structure of military. It makes me believe that they are a militaristic culture because of the fact that they invade a lot, including against the Taimo and the forces on Tamriel, and because of this evidence of weaponry and armor. Now, that is all we really do have on the Kamal, but it does seem like instead of being something like a frost giant, that these are more similar to that of the Tsaesci, and that the only difference is that they are frozen during the winter and they thaw out and attack. And it makes me think a lot of the White Walkers of the Game of Thrones universe. However, it seems that this is more related to the Tsaesci. It makes me wonder if there is some sort of magic involved from the Tsaesci and the Kamal, or what actually is related between the two races, because these kind of similarities cannot just be a coincidence. But we have a lot to cover today, so we're going to move on from any sort of theory and go right into the race of humans that occupy, or used to occupy, Akavir, and these are the Akaviri men. The Akaviri were, and perhaps are, a mysterious humanoid race from the continent of Akavir. They spoke a language known as Akaviri, and there are several conflicting and contradictory reports about the men of Akavir, including that they died out long ago, that they were eaten by the Tsaesci, or the fact they were in fact the Tsaesci themselves. Now, it is possible that the Tsaesci simply just assimilated them into their culture, as an obscure text known as, quote, "and we ate it to become it," end quote, reports that as a creation myth, the quote-unquote eating is more simply assimilating. It is not exactly known where the men of Akavir came from, but some say they share a common ancestor with the settlers of Tamriel, which they are from at Mora. Wherever they may have come from, they have died out long ago as of the present. The Blades seem to hold a very small resemblance of Akaviri culture, and the Blades, which were thought as the bodyguards of the Emperor, originated as Akaviri crusaders who invaded Tamriel for obscure reasons in the late First Era. They appear to have been searching for a Dragonborn. The events at Pale Pass bear this out, and the Akaviri were the first to proclaim Riemann Cyrodiil as Dragonborn. In fact, it was the Akaviri who did most to promote his standing as emperor, although Riemann himself never took the title in his lifetime. Now, the Akaviri are believed to have been much like other humans in terms of their physiology and appearance. While it has not been confirmed as what color skin they have, it is believed they looked like all the other races of men in terms of their shape. Not much is known about their culture as well. Cloud Ruler Temple in Cyrodiil is based off of Akaviri design, as well as the armor and weapons of the Blades. The Akaviri are also seen to use katanas, something not seen by any other race. The Red Dragon, the symbol of the Septim Empire and Dynasty, came from the Akaviri, and during the invasion of Tamriel in 2703 of the First Era, the Akaviri built Skyhaven Temple in Skyrim as an outpost for their Dragon Guard. The Akaviri eventually left their adopted home of Cyrodiil and moved to the Rim territories of Elisware, including the city of Remen, after being made scapegoats for the potentates. Those who did not survive the flight from Cyrodiil were buried in the Tomb of the Serpents, while many others went on and founded the town of Hakoshe, and the others stayed in Remen and built the Tanonaka. Now, it's incredible to see that these humans somewhat survived by assimilating into Tamriel, and it seems most likely that these people actually also assimilated within the Tsaesci because of the fact they also assimilated into Tamriel's culture. Now, what happened to their, I guess in a way, race as a whole is a little unknown still, but we might find out more because of ESO, and it'll be interesting to note if we get any more information later on in the future, whether it be from ESO or from the next Elder Scrolls. Now lastly, this leads us to the Tsaesci, and this is what combines both of these races I had previously discussed together because of the similarities with the Kamal and the Tsaesci, and the fact that the Akaviri men were either assimilated or thought to be the Tsaesci themselves. So we're going to start now with the Tsaesci. Now, one of the strongest races, if not the strongest race, the Tsaesci are a race of vampiric serpent people, or humans, hailing from the continent of Akavir. They originated from the wandering El-Nofe, just as the Atmorans and the Yokudans did. For thousands of years, the Tsaesci had presumably thrived on Akavir without disturbing or being disturbed by Tamriel. Late in the First Era, around the year 2703, the Tsaesci invaded Tamriel at the time when the Cyrodiilic Empire was still fairly small. This invasion is usually credited with forcing the Colovian Empire to officially join with the Cyrodiilic Empire under then-Emperor King Riemann I. The invaders managed to fight their way through northern Tamriel into the Dural Mountains near Bruma. Riemann eventually defeated the Tsaesci, trapping them at Pale Pass and cutting them off from their supply lines until they died or fled back to Akavir. After their defeat, the Empire granted amnesty to many of the remaining Tsaesci men, including taking them on in key political and military roles. The Tsaesci presumably bred into the imperial families and assimilated into their culture, as Tsaesci surnames are now considered a thing of pride among the imperial nobility. There are rumored to be small clans of true Akaviri still on Tamriel, though the details are inconsistent. The military prowess of the Tsaesci was one of the key reasons the Empire was able to expand as successfully as it did. At the end of the First Era in 2920, the Tsaesci potentate Verisidue Shae was advisor to Emperor Riemann III as part of the Emperor's attempt to conquer Morrowind. A theory suggests that the potentate was secretly plotting to eliminate the royal family, and another source of their depiction as snake men, and eventually did succeed. Now, the heirs of the Riemann III were all killed in the battle or by hired assassins, and eventually Riemann himself died without a successor. The potentate assumed command of the empire and ruled for over 300 years before being assassinated by the Morag Tong. His son ruled then for another 100 years before he too was also assassinated, and the Elder Council was put back into power. At this point, the Tsaesci and Akavir in general disappeared from historical record until Uriel V had invaded Akavir. Now, in 320 of the Second Era, a Tsaesci warrior, Denarius Vess, the Iron, presented to potentate Verisidue Shae, amidst the chaos of constant revolts and financial bankruptcy within the empire, a solution to these plaguing issues. He suggested an order of mercantile warriors named the Sefim, hired by the aristocrats, which would serve in a place of a standing army, as well as a percentage of the profits being invested back into the imperial treasury, effectively solving two of Verisidue Shae's biggest issues. Following the Guilds Act, the Sefim was renamed to the Fighters Guild, an already popular name for the organization, and legitimized it as an order. The Verisidue Shae's successor, Severian Chorak, reformed the Empire's army, breaking the reliance on the Fighters Guild for military capacities. Following the reforms, the Fighters Guild was reduced to more of a mercenary-based work, and Denarius Vess disappeared into obscurity. Around 290 of the Third Era, near the end of his reign, Emperor Uriel V launched an imperial invasion of Akavir. Uriel had mostly succeeded in stabilizing his empire on Tamriel, including retaking the lands recently lost in revolts, and was anxious to focus the might of the empire outside itself. Relying primarily on information retaining from the First Era potentates and extensive reconnaissance of the areas between Akavir and Tamriel, the Emperor launched a military initiative to conquer the small island kingdoms of the Ptolemaic Ocean to the east of Morrowind, most notably Black Harbor, which served as a base for the Imperial Navy. When he finally reached Akavir itself, far to the east of Tamriel, he landed in the kingdom of Tsaesci, which was on the southeastern coast of Akavir. According to the official record of the invasion, it was initially successful, but primarily due to lack of Tsaesci resistance. Once the Tsaesci armies decided to put up a fight, the Imperial armies were routed in short order, with nearly the entire invasion force being lost, including the Emperor. Only a fraction of the naval force was able to return and bring back some of the forces safely back home. Now, to date, there has not been any other attempts to invade the continent. In addition to the obvious military prowess of the Tsaesci, there are persistent rumors that the Tsaesci mages possess very potent abilities, including charging and changing the weather patterns off the Akaviri coast and on large-scale disruption of magical communication lines. Now, the continent of Akavir in general is one of the least understood areas of all Nirn. Only 3 times in recorded history have inhabitants from the 2 continents mingled, all 3 of these times being military invasions, 2 of which involved the Tsaesci and the other the Kamal. What the Tsaesci look like is contradictory at best. Early depictions of the Tsaesci almost invariably describe them as having the upper body of a man and the lower body of a snake. The most direct evidence of this comes from the mysterious Akavir book, which claims that the vampire snakes of the Tsaesci ate all of the humans that once lived on the continent of Akavir. However, the reputability of this book has come into question because this could have potentially been a misinterpretation of the language. Now, there is also some evidence, if you could call it that, in a previous book that was made on Tsaesci. It claims he is either moving in a slithering way or describes them as eels. Now, in the Elder Scrolls Online, a reward for a quest in Stonefalls to bless the bones of those who died in the Second Akaviri invasion has the following description. These gauntlets were designed to choke the scaled throats of the Akaviri invaders. That's an end quote there. More evidence of this serpentine feature comes from veterans of the Second Akaviri invasion, Federasa and Rethi, who became terrified of any reptiles that would come in her way because of the war, especially lizards, and Denskar Earthturner, who refers to the Akaviri as the snakes. It is also supported by Priestess Brela, who states that the Akaviri were snake men. However, there are theories that the Akaviri simply assimilated into Tsaesci culture. Other written accounts claim and contradict this legend of snake men because there is a religious text on the imperial creation myth called the Annotated Anuad, which lists the Tsaesci alongside the Redguard and Needs as the other races of men. A detailed report of Uriel V's invasion of Akavir, which first attempted to conquer the Tsaesci, describes them as mountain men and makes no mention of them being snake-like. In addition, the Tsaesci had a strong influence on imperial culture dating back from the Second Era, including being the genesis for the Fighters Guild and the Imperial Blades. Despite this, there is no pictorial depictions of them or any physical evidence that would dictate whether or not they were snake-like or human. The question has been further complicated by the recent rediscovery of a Tsaesci fortress deep in the Pale Pass on Cyrodiil. Now, the remains of the Tsaesci found inside include an apparition of a Tsaesci officer, all appeared entirely human. The Tsaesci also interbred heavily with the aristocrats of the time, and modern-day nobles consider it a high honor to possess a Tsaesci surname and facial features. During one of the invasions, the Akaviri also built Skyhaven Temple, as explained by Esbern during the events of Skyrim. Now, alongside the temple lies Alduin's Wall, built during the occupation of Skyrim. In the third panel, the Akaviri are kneeling before the Dragonborn as depicted as humanoid figures, which means they are human, or which would imply they are human at least. Despite incredible lifespans of the Tsaesci, we get this because Tsaesci ruled effectively as potentate for at least 300 years, we have not seen much since 854 of the Second Era of any documented Tsaesci interaction on Tamriel, and this was from Chevalier Renal, who aided Emperor Kulakane in Tiber Septim. And that is all we really have on the Tsaesci as well. Now, I really hope you guys enjoyed this. It has been a blast to be able to do this and cover information like this. I've been able to learn a lot, and it was been wonderful to cooperate and work with HB and Kuyo on this. The link of my channel and his video will, well, I guess technically mine and his video will be in the description below or somewhere up top here. And it's been a blast. I hope you guys hit that like button here, because this has been fantastic to work with, and I would love to work with these guys again. So I want you guys to smash that like button and smash that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed, and go check out the podcast with all of us in it as well. It's been awesome to work with these guys continuously, and hopefully we can get more collaborations out here, not including with just me, but with everyone else out here like Kukai, and maybe if we can drag Imperial Knowledge out of the dungeon, maybe we can get him in a couple videos as well. But overall, it's been fantastic. You can check out my channel as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, again, just smash that like button. And he did a shout out in his version of the video as well. Go check out his Discord chat as well. I'm part of it. Imperial Knowledge is part of it. Everyone else is a part of it. We go do a lot about talking about lore, gaming, just general YouTube topics, a lot of shit posting. But regardless of which, I'll see you all around, hopefully in the Discord chats or in the next videos to come. Maybe in a video on here as well. That'd be fantastic. Now, I'll see you guys all around. Peace!
I'm sick again, and I feel like I'm Nerevar. Niggas think they tough when I pull up, niggas never hard. Niggas think they legend till I pull up with a better card. Niggas think they fresh until I pull up with a dread guard. Ooh, flex is so much like I'm the dread guard raider. I'm the liberator. Go, my haters are those fake Yeezys. Bitch, you broke. See you later.